Welcome to Southeast Golf Review. I'm your host, Jeremy Kutsch, head golf professional at Woodward Golf Club. And today we're here at Woodward Golf Club in Bessemer, Alabama. We're at hole number 1. It's 410 yards, par 4. Basically, it's straight away, small green. You want to hit driver. If you're not confident with driver, you can hit 3-wood. Just try to give yourself less than 150 yards in, where you've got a wedge in your hand. Aim for the center of the green. 2-putt for par. If you get lucky, you make birdie. Basically, that's how you want to play this hole. It's the right side of the fairway, but it's okay. So I'm going to take a pitching wedge and probably aim at that tree in the background and without hitting those and try to draw it back to the center of the green. The flag's in the middle, so I can pretty much go at the flag. Like I said, it's 134 yards, slightly uphill. It's perfect pitching wedge. That looks good. Yeah. And on to the green. Wow, it's pretty straight. All right, that's par. Today's toughest hole challenge is number 8. It's a par 4, 426 yards. Straight away, there's trouble on the right and trouble on the left. There's some old fairway bunkers that have been filled in. So you want to split the fairway. Green is, it's not a small green. There's bunkers on the right and left. So on your approach shot, you definitely want to hit aim for the middle of the green, which from here, it looks like the flag's in the middle already. So you can go at the flag. Let's see how we do. That's pretty good. Okay, so I hit that drive about 322. I've got 104 yards to the center, to the flag. Flag's in the front, so I'm going to go right at the flag and try to control my distance here and hit a good shot. All right, so basically, even though I'm off the green, I'm still gonna putt this because there's times when people wanna grab their wedge and chip it when they don't need to. You can use a putter, you can use a hybrid if you feel more comfortable with that, but the rule in golf is if you can putt it, putt it. Wow. Whew, I was sweating that one. That was a knee knocker. So I made par, toughest hole. There's a good reason for it. It is a pretty tough hole. So again, I'm playing from the blue tees today. It's a par 4, 382 yards, slight dogleg right. And around 280 yards down the fairway, there's a drop off. And it's a steep drop off. It's probably 20 feet straight downhill. So if you can hit your drive far enough to get down that hill, you're in really good shape. You're gonna have about a 70-yard flip wedge in. Basically, you wanna hit a little baby fade, aim to the left side of the fairway and fade it back, or a little cut shot. Straight will work, but draw is a really hard line to hit. So I'm gonna try to hit a little baby fade and see what happens. Not the best drive, but it'll work. It's gonna filter right, it'll bounce right. It's probably down the hill because it's running out. Yeah, it got down the hill. Okay. Fairways are a little firm. And it's a little bit downhill, so I'm gonna play it a little bit back in my stance and 3/4 my backswing. I'm just gonna attack the flag. All right, that's a bogey. And this is hole number 10 here at Woodward Golf Club. In this week's Like a Pro tip, we're gonna focus on setup. Setting up with a driver and setting up with an iron or woods and irons is a little bit different as far as ball position and width of stance, but for the most part, setup is the same. So I've got a 9-iron in my hand, and I'm gonna show a proper setup. What I like to do is set the club behind the ball, get my feet right here, just, you know, kind of close together, and then separate them just beyond shoulder length. And I wanna make sure everything's nice and square to the ball, and I turn this toe out. That helps me pivot that way. And from driver to pitching wedge, so if that's driver, that's pitching wedge or 9-iron right there. It's 4 inches at the most. Ball needs to be somewhat forward in the stance. And I like to lean the shaft forward. Make sure that my chest is on top of the ball and my head's behind it. Belt buckle pointing at the ground. So that's a good setup right there for a 9-iron. And I'm gonna grab a 4-iron. So this is a 4-iron, and 4-iron's a little bit different. I'm gonna have a little bit wider stance, separate my feet some, move the ball forward. Like I use the emblem of my shirt as a good gauge to where I want the ball to be. So I'm gonna get my feet just beyond shoulder length, maybe even a little bit wider. Get my belt buckle pointing it at the ground, and the ball, what, you know, to me feels like it's on the emblem of my shirt. And I like to always lean the shaft forward, get my head behind the ball. And that's a pretty good setup right there for a 4-iron, okay? Next, I'm gonna use my 3-wood. And it's gonna be pretty much the same as my driver, just a little bit further back off my heel. It won't be as far forward as I would my driver. It's just gonna be a little bit ahead of the emblem of my shirt. So I'm gonna have my stance just about shoulder length apart, turn that toe out, make sure I'm nice and square to the ball. I always want to be square to the ball with every club in the bag. But I'm going to get the ball just about 1.5 to 2 inches off my front heel. And then I like to have my hands just slightly behind the ball, like this, and my head behind it. Always trying to keep my head behind the ball, even through impact. And that's how I would set up for my 3-wood right there. And I'll go ahead and hit one and see what happens. I've done better. All right, so now we'll grab a driver and a tee. And driver is the only club that I try to actually hit up on the ball with. I still want to trap it with my chest. I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but all I'm focused on when I'm playing golf is setting up properly. So I've got my driver, I teed the ball up, and I'm gonna get a nice wide stance, you know, a little bit more than shoulder length apart. Turn that toe out and make sure everything's nice and square for a straight shot. I want to get my hands behind the ball, and my ball position, if you see, it's pretty much off my front heel right here. So if I drew a line, it's going to be right there, maybe not quite on that heel. Get my belt buckle pointing at the ground, and everything's nice and square, and I'm going to hit one. And what I want to do is swing up on the ball to reduce the spin so it'll maximize my distance. Head behind the ball and try to maintain my head behind the ball through impact. That's good. Grab my tee. All right, so that's proper setup in this week's Like a Pro tip. Okay, so this is the 18th hole. It's a par 5, 527 yards from the blue tees. It's a dogleg right, so you definitely have to play a cut here. So people who generally hit the ball left or right, this is a perfect hole for you. Because if you go straight, there's a pump house down there, and if you're long enough, you can end up behind some trees. The driving range is on the left too, so that's technically out of bounds. And then trees on the right, so you just can't hit a draw here. It's reachable in 2. If you need to make eagle, I say go for it, but the smart play is to lay up and go for birdie and be happy with yourself when you walk off the green. Where's my tee? All right, so it's 229 to the green, and I could get there, but see the 2 greenside bunkers and the flag's right in the front. I think the safe play is to just lay up with maybe a 6-iron, try to get myself about I don't know, 80 yards in, somewhere in there. It should be good. It needs to draw a little bit. That should be good. Oh my. Oh well. All right, well that's 18. Really enjoyed myself, enjoyed the round here at Woodward Golf Club. Definitely recommend the golf course, you guys coming out, and fair prices, challenging course, but not too hard. I think you'll have a lot of fun and could put up a good score, and a score you'll remember.